just because I want to do this one first, man, we are going to talk about Cross. Um, and Cross is a crime thriller series created by Ben Watkins. Ben, you the man. Salute even before we get started. And it's based on the Alex Cross novel series written by James Patterson. And this iteration of Cross stars Aldis Hodge, Isaiah Mustafa, which the name may not sound too familiar, but if you remember those old Spice commercials with the dude on the horse, you know exactly who Isaiah
Look,
Mustafa
look at me. Now look at there. Now look at me. Now look at there.
and Juanita Jennings, and it premieres this weekend on Prime. Like by the time this show is on, you can watch the episodes. And the series follows Alex Cross, a detective who's a forensics psychologist who's a doting father and family man who's obsessed with digging into the minds of killers and victims in order to identify the victims and catch the killers. Charles, I'm going to start with this one, man. And one of the first things I noticed, because you know, you and I watch a lot of movies that are supposedly based in DC, right? And you
Yeah.
know, there are all these great stories as critics, man. Like I never forget, I think it was a Sentinel years ago, and I'm sitting at a screening in the afternoon, and there's a scene where Morgan Freeman's character is on Connecticut Avenue and he's coming down the street to turn on to I'm sorry, he's on K Street. I'm sorry, not K Street, on M Street. And he's
M
coming
Street.
down where Allied, like the old office of Allied, he's coming down that street and he's turning on to Connecticut Avenue, right? And as he turns on to Connecticut Avenue, now you'd have to live here to understand how ridiculous this is. He makes the turn like he's going down Connecticut Avenue, which in real life, there's the Mayflower Hotel and there's all this other stuff, the improv across the street. He should have seen. What we see when he made that left is he turns into Union Station, and everybody in the theater went, "Hey, show me how to do that." That
I
was
mean,
ridiculous.
he teleported from northwest all the way over to northeast.
So, but again,
Corner.
that's the joy of when people make movies about this city that we live in, where everybody knows the city, right? But Cross didn't make that mistake. So let me tell you what Cross did, which I thought was interesting. So early on, we meet Alex Cross and his partner are out, I guess, somewhere down in Southwest, right? Charles, that's what I'm assuming they were in Southwest. And again, I apologize in advance because this review is going to be so inside DC because we're here. So it makes sense to us. You're gonna be at home talking about what's the Southwest, Northeast? Yeah, you come to the city, you'll understand. So he's in Southwest and they're watching in this series a Redskin game, right? And his wife and Isaiah Mustafa's girlfriend goes to the restroom, and there's a shooting. And Alex Cross's wife is laying there shot. And that one scene is the overview of the entire series. That here is a man who has lost the love of his life. His children have lost their mother. He is in a perpetual deep state of grief. And that grief colors everything he sees, everything he does. And to me, it makes this season of Cross fantastic because by putting that layer into the story, he's still brilliant, but in the middle of all that brilliance, there's a lot of grief that's happening. And he can't let it go. And Charles, to a certain extent, nor should he, man, right? Because everybody's grieving process is different, right? And at the same
Yeah, yeah.
time, there's a serial killer on the loose, and he's got to figure out what the serial killer's patterns are. And it makes for a wonderful show. But before I throw it to Charles, the part that I found fascinating is that, like we teased earlier, that there are always these scenes about DC. And when you start shooting, and they use both Ben's chili bowls, by the way, I want to let you know that.
Yeah,
Because at one
yeah.
point I got confused. I was like, how are they able to get into
That's
that
not
bin?
the
They're
that's
at the
not the
bin
layout.
on 8th Street. So
Yeah.
for people at home, when you watch Cross, you see them always huddling up at Ben's Chili Bowl. Ben's Chili Bowl, if you've never been to DC, is an institution created by God, what is Virginia Ali's husband's name? I forget the husband,
Oh,
the patriarch of
I
the family, but the
I
Ali
can't
family.
remember it right now. The
Is
Ben
it
Ali.
Ben
Yeah, I don't
Ali?
remember
Yeah,
the
it's
first
Ben
name.
Ali. Ben Ali and Virginia Ali created Ben's Chili Bowl, and it was a place that during the civil rights era, Dr. Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders met there. So it is an institution in DC that's over 60 years old now, maybe 65. I think it was started in 1958. And the fact that they use that landmark and they've got two locations, one on U Street, one on H Street, and they shoot in both of them as well as showing you other landmarks like the district building and some of these other, it to me is the most DC show I think I've ever seen. And the only other show that I can remember that tried to use DC but didn't use a lot of the neighborhoods was probably A Man Called Hawk back in 1988, 89, or whatever year Man Called
Yeah,
Hawk came
yeah.
out. But Cross
Which was a sequel to Spencer for Hire, which starred, you
was a
know,
spinoff of Spencer Hawk.
spinoff.
But yeah, man. So Cross, I like Cross a lot. Watched it. We watched it like about a month ago. They sent it to us. It's a really, really good crime thriller, man. Charles, what are you thinking about Cross?
First of all, I'm a big fan of Aldis Hodge. So when they said that he was going to be the third person to play Alex Cross, I was excited because I just love to see this brother getting in his work, and he's just been from the days of Leverage when I used to watch him on that show. He's just been special to me and to my family. So. And also because I mean I read a lot of Alex Cross books. I have a lot of them in my house. I followed him closely. So you're just putting the two of my favorite things together, and I was not disappointed at all. Like you said, it's a very DC show, which, being this is my city, I'm happy to see it well represented well, correctly, and not outside of the realm of what normal shows do when they, I mean, you don't get the Capitol and the White House and all that stuff. Forget all that. This is our side. This is Chaka City. Come see Chaka City when you're watching Cross, and that's what you get here. And it's another fantastic addition to the cast is Karen Robinson, who some of you may know from Pretty Hard Cases and some other things that she does. She's just fantastic, and whew, she's got a great role in this film as well. So, I mean, in this series, um, powerful and fun and just exciting. I loved everything about this. If we were grading shows, this would have been an A for me because it just represents my town so well. I'm happy that we got Aldis Hodge doing Alex Cross in Washington D.C. and doing it right, and also to the fact Isaiah Mustafa, who plays dang, what's his name? John Sampson, who is Alex Cross's best friend. I think is the best casting that they've had of him as well. Very true to very true to the novels. So yeah, I really like this show. I really like the show a lot.
All right, so Cross, of course, is on Amazon Prime this weekend. Please check it out. It's an 8 episode arc, so we may talk about it again. So it's pretty good show.